Okay, we're recording. All right. Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to cover stealth tax strategies for small business owners, if you don't know already. This is for people, basically I work with solopreneurs, brand new business owners, and people that have been in business for a long time and just haven't really gotten on track. And who I don't work with, I really don't work with large companies anymore. I don't work with established corporations. I farm those out to my friends. I really want to just serve small business owners. What you're going to leave here with, hopefully, is a new understanding about how the system works, what you're up against, and some real actionable items that will help you save time and money. Why should you stay? Because this is really important information. If anybody's in business, I do stuff that it's not sexy. Okay, honestly, it's who wakes up saying, I can't wait to reconcile my bank account. But unfortunately, the stuff that I talk about is stuff that gets people in trouble, and that's why you should stay. Also, I come up with some pretty off-the-wall funny stuff sometimes, right, Carrie? And I don't plan it, so that's. And also, if you stay, I might become your best friend. I'm going to cover, like I said, all the stuff that nobody wants to hear about. Or maybe you do want to hear about it. You don't know what you don't know. In my experience, just people setting up a business, registration, all of these issues get overlooked and it winds up costing solopreneurs. And my goal is always, if you're in business, you have to be making a profit. And I'll go through, exactly what a business is. I teach. I try to make things simple for people. What I found is that most people that get into business never really learn about the nuts and bolts about business. If you're a coach, you might be a great life coach, but you need to know, unfortunately, you need to know your numbers. And last but not least, one of my core values is to always have fun. If you're not having fun in business, then you need to get a job. Maybe you can get a job at Starbucks or something and have fun. I'm also going to show you my CFO package. This is a, what do you call it? It's a system that we've designed, not just me, my team and I, specifically for solopreneurs. And we'll go through that at the end. The issue isn't really about taxes. Okay, the issue is that when we go into business, myself included, okay, I was good at accounting. I learned accounting. I knew how to do taxes. I knew nothing about running a business. That's why I connected with Craig Doswald. About 10 years ago, I said, everything I know, everything I've learned, I still own a job. I didn't own a business. And that's what happens. And one of my friends, Susan Shepard, actually worked with Michael Gerber. I recommend anybody going into business should read this book. So that's the issue. We go into business and within 9 to 18 months, we realize that this is tough. And this is one of my favorite quotes. This is from A Road Less Traveled. This was like the first paragraph. And I didn't have to read anymore because it took a weight off my shoulders. I thought I was the only one that had it tough. Okay, the fact is that life is tough. Delilah did a presentation the other day, and you went through, your story, and I felt that. I'm like, yeah, it's not easy. I don't think it's supposed to be easy. And what happens is we are nuts. We are not logical. We're entrepreneurs. We think, at least I did, that I'm going to go into business and it's going to be easy. It adds another layer of insanity to our lives. Okay. And some of you know me. I don't, Delilah doesn't know me. I'm just going to go through a brief history of who I am. I've been doing the same thing for 35 years, basically, which is taking people's businesses and helping them organize it in a way that they can safely maneuver what I call the machine. The machine, I'll explain what the machine is. But this is what I've done. I'm doing the same thing. And I realize that, the methods and procedures may have changed because of technology. But the truth is that almost none of the laws, none of the principles have changed. They all remain the same. And so this is what I do. I make money by doing bookkeeping, tax returns. I do a lot of tax problems resolution. And I hear somebody. How do I mute everything? I'm hearing some background noise.
Hastings and Hastings is in Arizona.
Okay.
I think that might be Judy.
Okay, I can mute all. Okay, I just muted everybody. Okay. So where was I? So that's how I make money. My company is called Bedrock Business Builders. I send invoices out for doing work. But what I really do, what I learned, what I realized is that I really teach people. I teach people through my mastermind. I teach my clients. I try to teach everybody because there's a lot of information out there, just like Delilah was talking about. There's a ton of information out there, and it's hard for anybody to really figure out what the heck is going on. My favorite story is my ice cream truck story. This is the semester before I graduated. I wanted to be, an entrepreneur. I didn't plan on being a tax person. I wanted to be a business owner. And so before I graduated, I decided to run a real business. And I leased this ice cream truck. I made money. I kept records. I did everything I thought that a real business owner should do. And, I thought this was easy. And I graduated. I get a job. And about 6 months into my job, I get a letter from New York State with the big red stamp on it that said tax warrant. And even though I was working in a CPA firm, I thought I was too embarrassed to ask anybody what I did. But I thought that I committed some kind of crime. I was actually looking for tax attorneys in the yellow pages. That lasted for about 3 days. And I finally decided to ask one of the CPAs what I should do. And the solution was to call the number on the letter. And I did that, and all they wanted was a form that said 0, I'm out of business, I was an ice cream truck, and that's it. But I never forgot that, because it made me realize that this is not a piece of cake. It's not that simple. I mean, that was an ice cream truck. And what I came to understand is that that's normal. Most people that go into business experience that at some point. They're like, oh my God, what did I get into? And that's why they fail. Because I think it's unreal expectations. They don't know. I knew how to sell ice cream. I obviously didn't know how to file tax returns. I didn't know what I didn't know. My friend John Limbacher says that if you give people enough time, they'll all fail. And that's only if you're not a corporation. If you're a sole proprietor, you will fail. So the bottom line is it's tough to start a business. Okay, I think we all know that already. So how do you know what to do? The first thing that I learned about taxes is that as business owners, we're supposed to minimize our taxes. That's a principle. Okay. I'm going to take you through this and I'm going to show you how and why the system is rigged so that sole proprietors and solopreneurs pay more in taxes than they're supposed to. It comes down to compliance. Okay. This is a word nobody wants to talk about. It's like, I'll deal with that when I start making money, but that's not the right way to do it. Because when you start a business, even if you don't know you started a business, like if you're an Uber driver, you are under the jurisdiction of the IRS. You are required to keep books and records. And if you don't, they will come and well, they don't know if you don't, okay? And that's one of the problems, and I'll go through that. But my experience shows me that most people, when they go into business, they feel like they went through a paper shredder. And that's why I call it the machine. The machine is not just the IRS, folks. It's big business. It's the insurance companies, it's the banks. They don't want to do business with solopreneurs, okay? It costs them more money per transaction to do business with us. So that's why it costs us more to do business with them. Everything from credit card processing to getting insurance, to processing a loan. I'm going to take you through some of the issues now that are going on with the IRS. Okay, if you're looking for your refund, the system is broken. So if you go in here and you're getting frustrated, all I could tell you is keep trying. Because what I'm getting from people is like 50% of them go to see where their refund is, and it's saying, still processing or need more information. That's what's going on with the IRS. Another thing that I'm telling people is to get your tax records, get your tax transcripts. And I'll tell you why. I'm coming across a bunch of people that paid accountants to prepare their returns, and they find out years later that the returns were not even filed. Okay, because that's how long it takes. It takes a couple of years. Now, it could have been because the accountant messed up his software, it just didn't go through, or that they were actually a criminal enterprise. Okay, there's accountants. It's easy to set up a tax preparation firm, take people's money, never file the return, and then just shut down, because it takes about 2 years for it to catch up to them. This is the IRS, folks. They are structured into 4 major divisions. What we deal with is the small business and self-employed division. Okay, so this is a major organization, and this is the division that we have to deal with. This is what their job is. Underreporting, that means that you filed a return and you didn't report all your income, or you padded your expenses. So that's why when they audit you, that's what they're looking for. Underpayment is when you filed your return and you owe money. Now you owe money to the largest collection agency in the world. Okay, and you're not going to be able to hide anymore. And then there's millions of people that just don't file. And what I'm finding is that they don't file because they ran into a problem one year. They owed money and they didn't know how to fix it, so they just never filed again. Again, you can't hide. Eventually they're gonna catch up with you. And that's why every business owner needs to be protected. And the only way to get real protection is with a tax professional, not a tax preparer. And I think that I put this in here because people have to understand the difference. Okay, when people go to H&R Block, they are tax preparers. They're just entering your information. They're not doing any planning. They're not looking at, red flags or anything. They can't represent you at the IRS. Only a CPA, enrolled agent, or tax attorney can represent you at the IRS if you have a problem. And because of that, as professionals, uh, we have special powers. We have like hotlines that we can get through that only professionals can get through. They don't want to deal with the general public. Okay. And again, it comes down to compliance. Why? Because that's what gets people in trouble. And if you don't know what you don't know when you get into business, it's not just the IRS, it's all of these other organizations, state and local entities that have a vested interest in what you're doing. And that's why my strategy is to be stealth. And what does it mean to be stealth? It means that we do business with intention. You know your opponent. I've been studying the art of war with a friend of mine, Sherilyn Chu. And you have to know your opponent. Okay. And when you know your opponent, you have a much better chance of avoiding them. The winning the battle is not going to battle. That's what the art of war is. Okay, so if we remain stealth, okay, you don't ever have to worry about the machine. And this is how we go stealth. Okay, I'm going to give you, these are tips and information that I'm going to give you based on 35 years of experience handling hundreds of tax audits. And this kills me, this question, because everybody says, can you give me a list of what I can write off? And this is the answer. You can write off anything that's business related. It's easier to talk about what you can't write off. And you can make a very short list of it. You can't write off your haircuts. You can't write off your clothes unless it's a uniform. And the way you make it a uniform is you put your logo or something about your business on your clothes. Then it's a legal tax write-off. But you can't write off your clothes, even if you're an entertainer, even if you're a TV personality. They specifically say you cannot write off personal expenses. You can't write off your food, your dinner. You can write off a business meal. If you're having a meal with somebody and you're talking about business, you can write it off. So the question comes up to really is, well, who determines if it's business or not? Who's going to make it? It's not the IRS. You are, as the business owner, you're going to determine if it's business or not. And then if you ever get audited, you just have to make sure that you have the documentation. Okay, so it's very simple. And I'm going to show you at the end how our system makes it even easier to do that. Another question that I've never been asked, and this costs people a lot of money, is when does the business actually start? When can I actually start writing off expenses? And the answer is, this is how a business starts. Everything starts with an idea, and it stays an idea until you take action. So if I have an idea to start, I want to lease another ice cream truck, until I go to the ice cream truck leasing place. Once I do that, now I'm in business. I have a profit motive. I'm driving there in my car. My car becomes a business deduction. Okay. It doesn't start when you start making money. And that's when people make a big mistake and they miss out on taking a lot of write-offs. Now, believe it or not, a lot of this has to do with what Craig talks about, and that's being organized. It's not just to be organized for your taxes. It's to be organized for your business. But believe it or not, if you're in business, you're required by law to keep books and records. It's written everywhere, everywhere. The IRS says you can, if you get audited by any of those entities, workers' comp, they have the right to ask you for your books and records. So you need to have an organized system. Now, the funny thing is that the IRS cannot tell you how to keep your books and records. They can't tell you how to do it. You can do it any way you want, as long as it clearly reflects what's on your tax return. So how do you do that? You have to have an organized system. Just like Craig says, you got to be able to put your hands on everything in an instant. I use Google Drive, okay? My team, they know how to file stuff. We have a naming convention. A naming convention, I know most of you know what that is. I know Carrie knows what a naming convention is. But you have to have an organized system. I put this, Mike Kiviat was an ex-client. He had a large trucking company. And this was when scanning just came out. He bought this big scanner and he had thousands of documents to scan. And he scanned them all and then he shredded everything. The problem was that Mike didn't name anything. Mike just let the machine name everything. Carrie's laughing because you know that he couldn't find anything. And this is one of the keys to being successful in business. You know, it doesn't matter how small you are. You got to start this when you're small, because if you get big, you want to be able to do what Craig does. You know, if you owe money to Craig, he knows, right? Right, Aldana? He'll send you a bill. What is a business? So Aldana has her baskets and beads, which is not a business, right? That's a not-for-profit. Too many people have run into think that they can start a not-for-profit and make money with it. No, you need to have a business, and a business is for profit. Okay, and I say this because I've had many clients that went for years and never made a profit. And if that's the case, then you have, I mean, I'm talking about people that not only didn't make a profit, all they ever did was spend money. And that's not a business. By definition, the IRS says that that's a hobby. And you just can't do that. That's how you get audited. So how do you not get audited? We're going to go into your business structures. And to be honest with you, this is one of the simplest areas that has the most confusion that I've ever seen in my life. When it comes down to it, when you go into business, you really only have two choices in your structure. You're either going to be a sole proprietor or a corporation. Forget about LLCs, okay? Because the IRS does not know what an LLC is. They don't recognize it. So everybody is out there forming LLCs, and the IRS is saying, I don't care, you're still considered a sole proprietor. Okay? So really, there's only two choices: sole proprietor or corporation. Now, the problem with being a corporation is that there's double taxation. And that's why we choose to be an S Corp. An S corp is what we call a flow through entity. So you pay taxes at the personal level. Now I'm going to show you who are actually sole proprietors, because we have millions of people that are sole proprietors that don't even know that they are. We have these terms, 1099, outside vendor, independent contractor. They all file their tax return on the same form, Schedule C, on their personal income tax return. Okay, so that is not a good way to do business, and I'm going to tell you why. The problem is with the IRS. You know, the IRS that I showed you, that they are looking, they're the police, okay? They target sole proprietors. They audit sole proprietors 1,000% more than they audit corporations. And the reason is because they look at sole proprietors as unsophisticated, they don't keep good books and records, and they win. They win more times than they don't when they audit sole proprietors. Sole proprietors have no tax benefits. If you make 20 grand as a sole proprietor, you're going to pay $3,000 in self-employment tax. Okay, you have no legal protection. Now you can become an LLC and get the legal protection, but you're still you're still at a major disadvantage when it comes to taxes. And last but not least, you get no respect. No respect. When you go into the bank, they're not giving you a business loan, they're giving you a personal loan. For example, everybody's working from home now. Okay, you could take an office in the home expense. I'm taking it for all of my clients. I don't think I have one client where we're not taking this. Now, if you're a sole proprietor, this is how you report it. The IRS actually has a special form for people that are taking home office deductions. This is a red flag, people. They want to know, how did you come up with the deduction? Okay. The answer is you create an S corp, because with that home office deduction, you become stealth. When you have an S corp, you could still take your home office deduction, and the IRS has no idea, and it's all 1,000% legal. It has to do with the fact that you are a business owner. You own a corporation. Okay, and now the corporation actually owes you money for utilizing that portion of your house. And then the corporation can just reimburse you. Just like if you had a job and you were getting reimbursed expenses for your boss. It's the same law, but it applies. Not many people know this. I'm the S Corp advocate, okay? I wrote an itty bitty book. It's coming out June 22nd. I think we're going to have a best-selling campaign. I'm going to take Craig's advice, and if anybody wants the book, I'll mail it to you. Just put your address in the chat. I'll even autograph it for you, Eldana. Okay, so let's talk about.
And no additional cost.
We'll have to talk about that. Okay, let's talk about where you should incorporate, because this is another mystery to people. You have to incorporate where you're sitting, wherever you're doing business. I don't care if you're trading cryptocurrency or you're doing internet stuff. It goes by state law. Okay, think about it, people. Where you're sitting, the government wants your money. They have a vested interest in your business. So now you can incorporate in Delaware, Nevada, Texas, but it ain't going to help you unless you live in one of those states. That's why Craig moved to Texas. Because when he was in California, now he could have incorporated in Texas, but he's still paying taxes in California. Now he's sitting in Texas and California. California is not happy with people like Craig. Okay. I've heard that they're going to try to find ways to like get them to pay back taxes or something. So if you live in California, I pray for you. Let's talk about what the value of a tax deduction really is, because this is something else that nobody ever asked me. And it goes by what tax bracket you're in. You know, you should know what tax bracket you're in, and you can find that out just by looking at your taxable income and doing a quick calculation. If you don't know how to do it, you can book a chat with me. Just go to Time with Joe, and I'll show you what tax bracket you're in. So this helps you determine, is it going to be worth it for me to do like an IRA or, you know, a pension plan? Well, this is one of the out of the box tax strategies that I've come up with. You know, Craig comes up with crazy golf ball marketing strategies, and I spend my time trying to figure out how to reduce my clients' taxes. Now, when they changed the tax law, they basically eliminated people that had children. You cannot take them as a deduction anymore. You can get credits for them, but you can't get them as a dependent. So you basically get no tax benefit. They raised the standard deduction to $12,400. Now this means that if you have a child, okay, you could pay them up to $12,400. And it doesn't have to even be a child. It could be anybody. It could be any family member. You could pay them up to this amount, and because of the standard deduction, they will pay zero in taxes. Now, if you pay them on a payroll, you got to pay payroll taxes, which is about 15%. So if you're in the 22% bracket, it will pay for you to do this. You're saving 7% in taxes, but that's not all, folks, because now that person, whether it's your child, your brother, your sister, anybody, now they can put money into a Roth IRA. Okay, and that would grow tax free actually. And that, if anybody can do that strategy, it's powerful. Now, another thing people don't know is that when you go into business, you can convert your personal property into business property, and you get 100% deduction. So what does that mean? I have a professor. She retired. She had a lot of equipment and furniture, and she converted it all to, she started a business, and now she's using that equipment in her business. She had about over $25,000 in equipment, and all we needed to do is document it. And the way that you document it is you take pictures, you make a list, you get ads in the paper, you say, this is what it would cost me to buy this. And it's the same thing with your car. It's the same thing with your car. Now, when you're an S Corp, you have multiple ways to pay yourself. Like I said, so what she did, let's say it was $25,000. Not only does she get the deduction, the corporation now owes her $25,000. That's how the accounting is done. She contributed $25,000 of assets that she wrote off on her taxes, and now she can get that back. So in other words, if the corporation makes 25 grand, she pays zero in taxes, and she got the money. And if that's not a stealth tax strategy, I don't know what is. You can write off your fish tank. So if you're doing Facebook Lives like I do, everything behind me is a write-off. Everything that Craig has, I hope that he's writing off those guitars behind him. It becomes part of your business. I've had people that we actually write off their dogs and their cats. Okay, legitimately. And to the point where if they ever got audited, I would go to the IRS with the proof and I would laugh at them. I'm almost done here. I want people to know about penalty notices, because most people get penalty notices and they just pay them without realizing that you can actually get them abated. You can get them abated. This is a template. I'll share it with you if you want it. All you got to do is connect with me. A lot of people ask me for this. All you need to do, if you have the right language that includes what we call reasonable cause, you can get any penalty abated. I must have like a 95% success rate on this. And believe it or not, so COVID is reasonable cause. I'm going to be using COVID for years. Okay, so reasonable cause is like a natural disaster, a medical problem, or if you relied on the advice of an expert. Okay, now I'm an expert, I'm a CPA. Believe it or not, I make mistakes and sometimes my clients get a penalty. Now, I'm responsible for the penalty. None of my clients have ever paid a penalty that I caused. But I'm not going to pay it without, trying to write a letter. So I just blame myself. I blame myself and I get it works 100% of the time. If you ever have to call the IRS, now this comes from my aunt who worked there for 25 years, taking the calls. So if you ever want to call or any government agency, I would say you call them on Wednesday right before they open. Okay. These are some current tax issues that have been current since I've been an accountant. These are always problems that you got to watch out for. And now even more, because like I said, if you're in California and you know what's going on with the independent contractors, they're trying to make them all employees. So if you hire an independent contractor, you have to make sure that they are independent and that you have the documentation to back that up. Now, I have some bonus info here on the COVID relief, and this is the bonus. I have a friend, Lisa Rodino. She is a PPP expert, which is odd because there's not too many experts. She's a credit specialist, and she's been helping. I probably sent her about 30 of my clients. She doesn't charge a penny to do this. She just wants to help small businesses get what they qualify for. So if you want it, if you've qualified for, if you haven't qualified for the PPP loan, you can contact Lisa. They still have EIDL loans available. And the benefit of working with somebody like her is that she knows the banks. And believe it or not, it does make a difference. And if you're having problems with the stimulus, it goes back to the whole refund thing. We're probably going to be tracking stimulus checks down for the next 2 years because the IRS totally messed it up. So that's it. I just want to talk to you a little bit about my $47 a month CFO package. Why should you consider it? What does it include? It includes all your bookkeeping. This was designed specifically for solopreneurs and new business owners. We take care of your books and records, and we make sure that you're in compliance the whole year. Okay, everything is secure. It's not just me. I have a world-class team. We don't just do bookkeeping. We have mastermind meetings. We network. We're out there to support each other. This is my team. We have 2 full-time accountants. Some of you know Susan Shepard. She's been helping us with the organization chart. Elizabeth and Corrine helped me with a lot of things. And Linda is an amazing software developer, and she's making everything easy for us. That's how we can deliver it at such a low price. If you want to connect with me, and I welcome anybody uh, to talk to me about business, timewithjoe.com. And this is the rest of my contact info. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Are you only for New York? Like I'm
No.
in California. Do you know all the crazy laws we have out here?
I think I have more clients in California now than anywhere.
Well, I can believe it.
Do you also help people in the entertainment business with their specific needs?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter what business it is. I just look for really solopreneurs. That's my target.
I have a question. I completely, because I'm going through this, I completely understand what you mean about being a sole proprietor. Um, I do have a question about forming an LLC. Uh, Somehow I thought it could help us to form an LLC. I wish I'd actually formed it when we were actually shooting the film. Anyway, the IRS, because of COVID, took over a year to get us our EIDL number. So I actually didn't get incorporated until this year. But now, and I spent all this money becoming an LLC. What do I need to do to become a S corp? It can that be related to the LLC somehow?
So you have an LLC?
Yeah, finally.
We can convert it. I don't know why it cost you a lot of money and why it took so much time. You're in California?
Yes.
It
Mhm.
shouldn't take more than a week or two.
I know. I kept calling the IRS every day. It was during COVID. Nobody answered the phones.
Okay.
They shut it
So
down.
if you want, just book a chat with me and we can talk about it. I can definitely tell you how to easily do it.
Okay, that's great. All right, that would be amazing. I do have one more question. Unfortunately, I'm being audited. Uh, they didn't understand the crowdfunding that I did in 2018. And I was doing an all or nothing campaign where if you don't make, I shouldn't have done the all or nothing. I had this coach, this crowdfunding coach convinced me it was the right thing to do. Looking back, I wish I had just done a campaign where you just raise as much as you can. All or nothing campaign is if you don't raise the amount they're asking for, you pretty much lose everything else that you've already raised. And it took me 9 months to set this whole thing up. So we ended up having to put our own money, our own credit cards, to get to the number where we can actually draw it out and utilize the funds for the film. The IRS is trying to double tax us, saying
Oh,
that
no,
was considered income. And my
that should
husband's on
be,
the phone with them.
oh, no,
Yeah,
that should be easy to fix.
yeah,
Listen, the IRS right now is on a freaking rampage. I'm getting like they're starting audits and closing them like within months. That I'm like, this should be illegal.
yeah, it's really bad.
But-
They gave us only 30 days to respond. I don't have much time left, and
and
I'm
then,
just really worried.
then the post office isn't delivering the mail and they don't answer the phone. So they give you 30 days and it's like, book a chat with me. I'll tell you how to
I
fix
will. Yeah, best way to contact you by phone or email.
it. Yeah, my time with Joe, or I'll put my phone number in the chat
Okay, great.
if
Thank
if
you
I
so
can find
much.
it. No, listen, I love beating the IRS.
I
They're
love
like
that. You know so much about it.
they're amateurs. They're hiring like people with no experience.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
really apparent when we talked to them on the phone. The guy had no idea. He's like, "Why isn't the movie making any money?" We're like, "It's a short film. It's like a resume to launch your
it,
career into the film the industry." They
it's
didn't understand. Why did it cost so much money to hire all these people? We had to
I know
hire people to make the
it's I'm trying to put
film.
in the chat. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
It's really
It's scary.
frustrating.
It's frustrating. It's great for my business. I'm going to be busy for the next 5 years because of their incompetence. But
Yeah.
it's not right.
They're wind-up toy people that don't understand business.
No, they
That's,
didn't understand at all.
you know, at all.
They
Yeah,
just
I had
don't.
applied for a grant one time and the woman said, oh, you got this money from speaking. I said, it went into the business and my business isn't making money. Well, what do you mean? I'm like, she didn't understand that all the equipment costs,
Okay, so
business
my-
costs, so.
My aunt worked at the IRS for 25 years, right? She's still asking me questions. I'm like, are you kidding me? She, they don't, just because they work at the IRS, they don't know the tax laws. They're reading from a script. They have like a checklist. Okay, that's how it works. But when it comes down to it, I've challenged them to the point where I've appealed to the tax court. That's the last thing that they want. And every time, I've never had a case actually go to court because then they appeal. No, then they settle, Eldana. They settle. We'll have to talk about that because they settle every time. It's unbelievable.
That's
I have
excellent.
another one for you. This is different. When my mom passed away, we were all kind of, heavy with grief, but the lawyer that we had convinced us to put the property into an LLC, a family LLC. And I'm wondering, because last month we got some money that was given to us, but they would only give it to the LLC. So I want to know what's going to happen. How is that going to affect us? And is it possible to turn that into a business instead of just a family LLC?
Well, okay, so you could use an LLC just to place property and it doesn't have to be a business. So the LLC doesn't have to file a tax return.
Mhm.
That's all personal,
Okay.
so you don't have to
Even though there's some they gave us some money because they wanted to search for mineral oil.
But that's
on
not
our land.
income though. That's not income.
So
That's
what,
personal.
but you don't have, what about taxes?
You don't have to, it's not a taxable event.
Okay. My main concern was because my name is the lead. I'm the manager and they have
You're the
my
man-
social
you're the
security
manager,
number.
yeah.
So it scares me,
Well, that probably for banking purposes, you need a tax ID number to open a bank account.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
What was I supposed to put in the chat? I forgot.
Oh, your contact, your phone number, so I can call you and set up.
Okay. Okay.
Is that your number on the screen?
Oh yeah. No, I'll give you my cell number.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Okay,
give-
great.
I also need to talk to you about setting up. I mean, if that's all you're gonna charge is $47 a month, I need to talk to you. I'm just getting started and there's so much I do not know or understand.
That's what I'm here for. I love, I'm listening to Craig. I'm like, yeah, I love teaching people too. I like making money, but teaching people is good. Corinne, how are you? I haven't seen you in a long
I'm
time.
good. How are you, Joe?
I'm good.
It's great. That was a great talk. I loved it. In fact, we might
Okay.
need your help as well. So it's good.
Yeah. This was a good
Delighted.
session. Thank you for doing it.
Yes,
Delight-
thank you so much for doing this.
Mhm.
My
I
pleasure.
didn't realize how much I mean, I knew I didn't know anything, but I really don't know anything.
Same here. I realized how much I don't know.
Oh my
And then
God,
even with
it's
the whole
scary.
situation, it is very scary.
Mhm.
Even when you've been doing it a while, things come up. It's like, what?
I don't know if you ever heard Larry Broughton talk about the Navy SEAL guy. He did
No.
a mastermind. You heard him, Steve Scott? Yeah, this guy was like off the charts Navy SEAL, and long story short, he said that starting a business was the scariest thing he ever did. He had no idea what he was getting into. So anyway, this has been great. Any other questions?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you again.
Look
Thank
forward to
you.
connecting
So
with you.
much. It was
Mhm.
very valuable.
Oh, wait, I have to download the chat and I gotta save the recording. I'm getting better.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, Delilah, is there any way to contact you? I missed part of your presentation and
Oh, that was amazing.
it was really great, but I missed the first half of it and I'd love to get in, contact with you on a couple of things. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put my email in the chat as well.
Great, thank you.